Bluey is definitely one of the most interesting children's shows around today.
What?
But did you know there are plenty of fascinating facts about the show and its creation that almost nobody knows?
It's not budging.
Everyone who has seen at least one episode quickly falls in love with Bluey's charming personality. This is definitely thanks to the care that the show's creator, Brum, has for the character. After all, she was heavily inspired by a dog Joe had as a child who was also named Bluey. I'm sure he had many wonderful memories with this dog as a kid, which probably helped him a lot in creating the character and the show as a whole. I had no idea Bluey actually existed in real life. Did you? Let's find out now what the 22 cool things nobody knew about Bluey are. So hop on, because another Cinewave is starting. The dog Brum had in his childhood wasn't the only inspiration for creating the show. Another major inspiration came from the artist's two daughters, which led him to give Bluey a younger sister. Do you think his daughters watch their dad's show? Maybe they even get early access to new episodes. That would be awesome. Could they be the voices of Bingo and Bluey? Now I'm curious. Almost every cartoon has a pilot episode, and Bluey is no exception. In fact, the show had 2 pilot episodes instead of 1, and neither was available until a user on the social media platform X somehow found them and leaked them both online. The first pilot was quite different, showing a younger version of Bluey. The second pilot, unlike the first, was adapted into episode 6 of the first season, Weekend. The story is essentially the same, just a little shorter. Since Bluey is an animated show with lots of child characters, many of the actors are also children. The kids who work on Bluey have their identities kept secret to protect their privacy, since being a famous kid can be stressful and even dangerous. Because of this, we wonder if maybe the voices of Bingo and Bluey are the creators' daughters.
I love it.
Bluey takes a gentle approach to themes that other children's shows often avoid. They even include a neurodivergent character, Jack, who has ADHD. So far, he's the only neurodivergent character. But many fans theorize there might be another neurodivergent character on the show, Bluey's cousin Socks. Unlike the other characters, she acts in a way that resembles a real dog. She even used to walk on all fours, but later learned to walk like a normal person. Dog. And it can't just be because she's young, as the other babies in Bluey's world act like typical babies. For this reason, many fans believe Socks might have a type of neurodivergence similar to autism. Bluey's undeniable popularity has even attracted several celebrities to guest star on the show. One example is Natalie Portman, an actress who starred in many famous films. She voices the narrator in the whale documentary episode Whale Watching. Another guest star is Lin-Manuel Miranda, a Disney composer involved in movies like Moana and Encanto. In Bluey, he plays the horse Major Tom. Speaking of him, Lin-Manuel Miranda is only the second American to appear on the show. The first was Eva Mendes, who voiced the yoga instructor. Most of the actors who voice Bluey characters are Australian, and it's surprising there haven't been more American actors, even among the guest stars. Bluey never fails to impress. If you love the little blue dog, start commenting below with #Blue. Among the characters, some of them are actually British. Wendy, who's Judo's mom and the Healer family's neighbor, is from England. Meanwhile, the Terrier brothers are also British, though in this case all 3 of them are from Scotland, along with their mom, who happens to be the romantic interest of Winton's dad. In most animated shows, especially those aimed at kids, it's common for the characters to stay the same age year after year, as if no one ever ages. This happens in shows like Peppa Pig and The Simpsons, simply so the show can run for many years without changes that might upset fans. The downside is that over time, we grow older while the characters we followed stay exactly the same. So Bluey chose to take a different approach. The characters actually age as time passes, even if it's gradual. The little blue dog started out as 6 years old and is now 7, so it's expected that the characters will grow up little by little as the seasons progress.
Wow.
Remember Busker, the musician who keeps popping up playing different instruments in various spots? He's another character inspired by a real person. In this case, he's essentially the canine version of the show's composer, Joff Bush. Grandpa Bob, Bandit's father and Bluey's grandpa, has a rather funny feature. He's missing a bit of his left ear. What could have happened? And it doesn't seem like it could be a birth defect, since his ear was undamaged when he was young. I wonder if he had an accident at some point in his life. Maybe that accident is even why he has memory issues. Major Tom is a horse that lives near Bluey's school, in a field, and he even speaks in the imagination of Indian Winton. But did you catch the reference behind the horse's name? Major Tom is actually the name of the character in Space Oddity, one of the most famous songs by David Bowie. The song is about an astronaut known as Major Tom who's traveling through the vastness of outer space. It's super cool to know that Bluey decided to give a nod to one of the greatest musicians ever. The Terrier triplets are really adorable, but here's a little known detail about them. All 3 are a nod to the show's creator, Brum, and his 2 brothers, Dan and Adam. In fact, they're even named after them in the show's animation files. Additionally, in the French, German, and Italian dubs, one of the terriers is named Joe. We're not sure if this was a coincidence, an accident, or if there's a story behind it. Speaking of which, one of the Bluey's creator's brothers also works on the show. That would be Dan Brum, who's actually the show's sound director. Dan is also the original voice of Uncle Stripe, Bandit's younger brother. Now that's a close family, right? With that in mind, it would make sense if the creator voiced Bandit and Adam played Radley. But then again, voicing Bandit, who appears in practically every episode, might be tiring for someone who's already leading all the other parts of the show, right? But on another note, have you ever thought about clicking that subscribe button? This way, you'll keep receiving our content about your favorite cartoons.
Thank you.
One of the coolest things about Bluey is that the show is set in Australia, and it includes tons of references to the country throughout the series. The little blue dog and her friends live in the Australian city of Brisbane, which actually exists in real life. Many real spots in the city have appeared on the show, which just shows how much the artists working on Bluey care about the smallest details. The Healer family's backyard is filled with garden gnomes, and the kids use them as toys in a bunch of different games. But do you remember the name of each of the gnomes? There's Hecuba, Tony, Gerald. Jeremy's the one who has it rough since he always seems to get hurt during the Healer's games. There are only two gnomes without names, one that looks like Tony and another that's in a meditative statue pose like Buddha himself. A lot of people think Bluey is a Disney show, but that's not exactly true. The show is actually produced by Ludo Studios, and in Australia, it airs on ABC Kids. However, Disney is responsible for broadcasting it internationally, and since most people watch Bluey through Disney, they often assume it's actually made by Disney. If it were, maybe we'd get to see Bluey crossing over with other Disney characters like Sophia the First. I'd love to see that happen. Have you ever heard of Undertale? It's one of the most well-known indie games in recent years, with complex characters and a pretty dark story that explores things like fate and the meaning of life. What's amazing is that Bluey, such a kid-friendly show, actually includes a reference to this game in the episode The Sleepover. Sans, the most famous character from Undertale, appears as a stuffed toy in one of the episodes. It's definitely unexpected. Bluey creator Joe Brum had many experiences as a freelance animator in the UK before developing the show about the blue dog, and he was involved in several famous animations. It's easy to spot that influence since he took some cool elements from those shows and brought them into Bluey. The most well-known series he worked on before creating his own show was definitely Peppa Pig, and I think we're all used to spotting the similarities between the two shows. Just compare a picture of the Pig family with one of the Healer family. Other shows he worked on as an animator back then included Charlie and Lola, Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, and Tinga Tinga Tales. That one's pretty unique. But it wasn't just his work as an animator that helped him develop his own story. Since it's a children's show, Joe Brum also committed to studying child psychology books and talking with child psychologists. The results speak for itself. He managed to create a show that's fantastic at entertaining kids while teaching them super valuable lessons. Who hasn't watched a random episode of Bluey only to end up rethinking their own life choices because of a line from one of the characters? Please tell me it's not just me. The video's about to wrap up, but if you want to keep enjoying our content, just click on one of the two videos we've got up on your screen. It's simple. Thanks, and see you next time.